Okay, this is the AP Government Review for the Political Parties chapter. What political parties are? They are voluntary associations of people hoping to control government through peaceful and or legal actions, which means they want to win elections. They are one of three primary linkage institutions. Political parties go along with interest groups in the media to link the people and the government together. They are the method by which the electorate is connected to the government. They are different from interest groups in that interest groups do not nominate candidates. That's a big chunk of what political parties do. Parties have several roles. They play as the party in the electorate, trying to inform voters and get out the vote. They are the party in government, trying to organize the government into a controlling coalition. And they are the party in an organizational role, where they're trying to elect people, trying to raise money to elect those people, and trying to maintain control or win back control of the government. There are different types of party systems. You have the one-party system, where only one party exists in a country, and they typically represent a small portion of the population. And go figure, when you have one party, the voters don't have many real choices. Often these are dictatorships, in fact. There is also the two-party system, which is, in a two-party system, you see two major parties competing for control. And you do have minor parties, but they often have little effect on governmental outcomes. Two-party systems help to enhance government stability. Because you have two parties vying for control, the parties tend to avoid the extremes of ideology, and they try to go towards the middle of the road to win voters. This is what we see in the U.S. We have a two-party system here in America, and the two-party system is strengthened and solidified by the Electoral College. It makes it difficult for any third-party challenges at the presidential level. We also see that the two-party system is supported by single-member districts, where you only have one representative per political district, and it gives the people an either-or choice. You don't have many people to choose from. Most democracies, they have a multi-party system where there are several major parties and a handful of minor parties. And the parties can be based on class, can be based on ideology, they can be based on region. What it does, it gives the voters choices. They have very meaningful choices compared to the two-party system. Parties, because there's so many parties, it's pretty rare when one wins a clear majority over 50% of the vote. And so more often than not, the major parties, the minor parties, they have to band together to form coalition governments. And this leads to instability in the government because they're representing so many different groups of people. What do parties do, though? They recruit candidates for political office. They nominate those candidates. They get them political support, voter support, and monetary support. They also help to educate the electorate on the issues that they have adopted as their primary platform, and they help to organize the government as either the majority party or the minority party. In America, membership is voluntary. You do not have to be a member of a political party. Many states, they require their citizens, when you register to vote, they want you to identify a party, but more often than not, most Americans choose to register as independent. Factors that influence a person's party identification tend to be ideology, education, income, occupation, race, gender, religion, family background, region, and marital status. Some of the many factors that also influence whether a person votes. It helps to determine what party you're probably going to be part of. And in our own history, America, we have a two-party history for a long time. But if you go back to the Constitution, there is no talk of parties in the Constitution. You won't see anything dealing with political parties in the actual written body of the U.S. Constitution. You do see a discussion of them in the Federalist No. 10, written by James Madison. He is warning against the dangers of factions, but clearly nobody heeded his warning. The two-party traditions, they go even further back. Our British heritage, the British Parliament, they had multiple parties. It also goes to the founding of the Constitution, the split between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And then, like we just mentioned a minute ago, single-member districts also help to secure and make sure that the two-party tradition became strong here in the United States. The two big key parties that have been around for most of the 19th and 20th century, you have the Republicans and the Democrats. Republicans originally formed from a split from the Whig Party. They emerged in 1860 when they elected President Lincoln. They have also been known as the Grand Old Party, the GOP. Democrats, they started as a faction calling themselves the Jacksonian Democrats, and they consider themselves the party of the common man. Speaking of that common man, we see the true version of the Democrats pop up after FDR creates the New Deal coalition in the 20th century, when he organizes urban people, African Americans, blue-collar workers, Jews, Catholics, and women to form a winning coalition of Democratic voters. Typical in U.S. government, we have divided government, and a divided government, it's so common in U.S. politics, and what it refers to, a divided government, is when you have one party in control of Congress, or at least one House of Congress, and the other party controls at least one House of Congress and or the presidency. What it leads to is gridlock, and especially in the 20th century, and especially in the new millennium, we've had nothing but divided government. In 2000, Republicans won the presidency and the Congress. They held on to it till 2006, when the Democrats won both houses of Congress. In 2008, Democrats maintained all of Congress and also won the presidency. In 2010, the Republicans came back and won the House of Representatives, and in 2012 we had no change. So currently the Democrats hold the presidency, the Republicans hold the House, and the Democrats hold the Senate. Oh, where are we going? Shifts. What we see with these voter shifts, there's two typical patterns that emerge in critical elections. You have de-alignment and realignment. De-alignment shifts happen when there's many voters that no longer support a party, and many often turn independent. Realignment is something that's even rarer. It's when a party forms an entirely new coalition of supporters, of voters, to come out and support them. The two biggest examples of that were in 1860 and 1932. 1860 with the election of President Lincoln, 1932 with the election of Franklin Roosevelt. Also part of the American political system, you have third parties. They've been common throughout American history. There have been several third parties, and they've often competed and more often than not, been unsuccessful. They've had more success at the state level than at the national level. And we have several types of third parties. You have ideological, which are parties that revolve around one particular ideology, like the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, the Libertarian Party. You have splinter parties, or what we call personality or factional party. They typically revolve around one strong personality. A great example of that was Teddy Roosevelt's Bull Moose Party. You have single-issue parties, which are dominated by their caring for one particular issue, like the Prohibition Party. You can go figure out what they were interested in. The Right to Life Party. And then you have protest parties, which spring up during times of economic turmoil. And a great example of them recently is some people have identified the Tea Party as a protest party from the 2008 recession. Parties have a very clear structure. They tend to be highly fragmented, although the president's party is much more unified than the opposition party. They hold a convention where party delegates meet every 4th year, and their sole purpose of the convention, they select the presidential candidate and the vice presidential candidate. They write the party platform, which is made up of all the issues and the stances that the party is planning on taking. There's also a national committee, and I can't spell national apparently, oh well. They choose the convention site for the party convention. They help to distribute party literature every year, not just every 4th year, and they also raise campaign contributions. They're raising money for their political party. You have the congressional campaign committees, which are always functioning. Their sole duty is to raise money for their party candidates, and during election years, they try to identify and defeat weak opposition members so they can increase the size of their own political party. At the state and local level, state and local parties have been more organized in the past than they've ever been. They tend to be organized very similar to the national level. In the 90s and the early 2000s, they became dependent on soft money, which we've talked about in previous chapters. Soft money was distributed by the national level of the party, so they were very responsive to what the national level wanted. However, those soft money was banned in 2002 by the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, also known as the McCain-Feingold Act. In the future, political parties have an uncertain future. Many people have said that political parties are in decline for numerous reasons. Increasing numbers and more successful third-party challenges. We've seen a loss of support by party loyalists to the two main parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. Many people in the electorate, they can't identify differences between the parties. They're just not sure they can't see clear, defined separations between the two. We've seen a trend in more split-ticket voting, where people will vote for Democrats and Republicans on the same ballot. Less straight-ticket voting. That's when a voter votes for all the candidates from one particular party, Democrats or Republican. We've seen parties, as they try to include new people in their coalitions and reform themselves, it's led to conflict with the members of their base, and members of their base can lead the party to become independent. We've also seen brand new campaigning methods, particularly with new technologies like the internet. It's required less and less support from a political party, and so that challenges their future. So that's the Chapter 5, Political Parties in a Nutshell. Thank you.